folks, Captain Kurt Pfister here, coming at you live from Flight Junkies Powered Paragliding. Thanks for joining me today. Thanks for taking the time to check out our YouTube videos, getting to our website, flightjunkies.com or poweredparaglidingfreetraining.com. Either way, we thank you for joining us and taking the time. Some of the information I got to give you today is pretty important, and it actually comes from some of our subscribers and some of our prospective customers. These are emails that I took today, and we're going to have a lot more. I get so many emails a day asking me different questions about training, about the equipment, about different things out there, and I thought, boy, it'd be a great idea if we took some of these questions and some of these emails and just answer them for you right now. We've already talked to some of these people, and many of them are now our customers, but and we're going to have a few more in this series because there are so many questions that people ask. But we're going to attack some of them today, and then look for more of our videos that'll be coming up. And this one we're going to call Questions and Answers. Powered Paragliding Questions and Answers. And we're going to have a whole series on this too. As we did on our scam videos, we have more scam videos coming that you really need to watch, especially the scam warning on equipment. There's a vast difference in the equipment out there, so those scam warnings on my website, on flightjunkies.com, will really educate you so that you're not paying more money and you don't have to make the same mistakes I did coming into the sport. And quite honestly, there was nobody to warn me. So if you do subscribe to us also, we want to thank you for doing that. And if you enjoy our videos and are learning something from them. But if you are a new subscriber, each month we're going to be finding people that subscribe and giving away some prizes. We want to show our appreciation by giving something back. This month we're going to give away a t-shirt. And it's an official new Flight Junkies t-shirt that just came out. I'm wearing one right now. And we're going to do this to we just randomly select one of our new subscribers each month and give away some sort of a prize. So right now the prize is going to be this Flight Junkies t-shirt. We hope you enjoyed it. It's a beautiful shirt. And right now let's just jump right into the questions from some of our viewers and some of our prospective customers out there. Our first question in the email comes from a Carl Harrington. Now we've already spoken to Carl and answered his questions. Again, all of these questions have been answered. But we thought you may be able to benefit from hearing some of our responses and what I said about it. And Carl Harrington writes in and says, "Hello, I just ran into some of your former students flying in the park by my house. They said to talk to you before looking anywhere else. They said they were very, very happy that they found you. I'm very interested and have a few questions. First of all, do I need a license to be in this sport? Also, how high can I fly in this? And how fast does it go?" Well, Carl, let's answer the first question right now. You said, do I need a license to be in this sport? Carl, the absolute perfect answer is no. You do not need any kind of license. You do not need any kind of a rating. You do not need to fly out of an airport. You need no certificate or no certification. You need no N number. There is no airport needed to fly, no runways needed, no hangars. This requires nothing but the federal government to be able and to be allowed to legally fly a powered paraglider. You do, however, and you should, however, get good training, and I've always provided that free of charge, and you can get that anywhere. I want to warn you, Carl, about some organizations out there. Well, they call themselves organizations, and they may have started out with that very intention, but they have become a nuisance to the sport. Really so much so that they're trying to regulate an unregulated sport. When you start seeing things out there like a certified instructor, okay, and that you need a rating to fly, Carl, these are not necessary for you to fly. You do not need these. They are they're worthless. They have no value to them whatsoever. There's a lot of people out there that have been sucked into this kind of thinking, and really it's all meant for one thing, right here. It's meant for this. Under the guise of safety, of course everybody wants to be safe, and under the guise of looking official, they've wanted to create a cash flow running right directly to one person. And usually he self-appoints himself the president of an organization, whether it's the USPPA or the WPPGA. And then he'll form a committee of his friends and call that the committee for decision making. They'll create a fabulous website, pump out a lot of great information, but you're going to be paying for it. And basically what they're trying to do is lock you into a membership with them year after year after year. And it's really crazy how these things grow. People they love to be a part of something. The biggest one out there is the United States Powered Paragliding Association. Now, as official as that sounds, they have nothing to do with our United States government. They have nothing to do with the FAA. They are not there is nothing needed by the United States Powered Paragliding Association needed to fly a powered paraglider. They are, however, requiring that you pay them money every year, and they want to get more instructors under this guise of safety, because the instructors, when they're wanting to be instructors, of course, they want credibility with prospective customers. So this appeals to them, that they can hang a shingle on their door that says, United States Powered Paragliding Certified Instructor. Well, what's required for that? What's required to be a powered paragliding certified instructor by the United States Powered Paragliding Association, the USPA as it's called? Well, absolutely very little. All you have to do is show your sponsor or another instructor who's been roped into the same deal that you can fly, do a certain number of routines like land in a certain area, and you do successful takeoff and landing. And then you take a little written test. Oh, and don't forget the most important part, pay them some money. And now you are deemed a certified instructor by the U.S. Powered Paragliding Association. The United States Powered. Folks, it's a scam. You don't need that. You don't need to be a part of it. They're doing nothing but trying to regulate the sport and force people into joining their organization so you can be coerced into spending more money every year, paying your dues, being a member, and what do you get in return? Nothing. Do you need any of their certifications? No. Do you need their ratings? No. These ratings are false. They want to create some sense of pride in you and some sorts of accomplishment, and you want to be able to hang a shield on your door that says you're a member of this United. It's one guy. It's one guy that started this whole thing. He uses it also as a platform to get freebies and things for himself and the admonishment from all sorts of different people as the president of the USPPA, because what a privilege it is to have him there. What has he done for the sport? He's watched his bank account. He's watched a bank account grow out of control. He's now starting, as I've warned people years ago, I said, this guy's going to start to try to regulate a non-regulated sport. Now, I don't know about you, but we got enough regulation. We got to get a permit to wipe our cracks sometime in this country. This country's in trouble. And we've got to do all sorts of stuff now just to get anything done. And it's finally nice that we have a sport and a form of aviation that we can fly without any government certificate, regulation, license, rating, and yet this guy notices has had an opportunity to start controlling people, and what does he do? He starts regulating it. Do you know that now he's starting to regulate whether you can go to a group function? Because he'll have a group function and he'll get all of these instructors that he's roped into the organization. Of course, they like the title United States Power Paragliding Certified Instructor. See, because when they have customers come in, they're able to say, look, I'm credible. I'm a United States Powered Paragliding Certified Instructor. However, they don't have, do you know what it takes to be a certified instructor? You perform a series of takeoff and launches, and you land and there's a routine that you go through. You show the person that's sponsoring you that you know how to fly. You take a little written test and agree to, oh yeah, pay them every year to be called that, and now you're a certified instructor. Have you trained anybody? No. Do you have any experience in training anybody? No. Are you a certified instructor? Yeah. But that has nothing to do with experience, nor is it required by the FAA to do this. Then they try to rope you into this whole rating system. Now they're trying to control the sport by, when they have a big event, the USPPA has tried to manipulate these events into the point of if you don't join their organization, you can't fly there. How do you like that? So basically, they're robbing you. Oh yeah, you want to be a part of this fun? You want to be a part of the group? Well, the FAA doesn't require anything, but we're going to require that you join our group and pay us money, and then we'll give you a rating. You can get a P1, P2, or P3 rating. Do I need this? No. Is it required? No. You can fly. This kind of nonsense, you should look out for it. Watch for anybody using this terminology. Certified instructor, certified training, P1, P2 ratings. None of this is needed to fly, Carl. You have my word on that. You can call the FAA, check out what I'm saying to you, and you'll get the straight answer. And you'll know that what I'm telling you is the absolute truth. So that answers your first question. Then you have a very simple question: how high does this fly? Well, the first thing you want to do is where you're going to be flying from is something that you want to take a look at. You're going to need to learn how to do a sectional chart and learn how to make sure that the area you are flying in is legal airspace. And once that is accomplished, you can fly as high as you want. I think what your question is, how high could you go in one of these? The highest I've been is a little over 14,000 feet. It's cold up there. It's kind of lonely. Can't tell how fast you're going, but it was cool to kind of do it. The fun flying is down low, a couple hundred feet, or what I like to do is when I'm on vacation, I take it and fly it off the beach and just cruise up and down the beach, and maybe about 30 foot over the water, right where the water meets the sand, and just waving at people and talking to people and just cruising along low and slow, looking down into the water, seeing the fish and just having fun. Up high, it's not much to see. I mean, you get a great view, but it gets cold and it's not as much fun to me. But everybody has their own certain likes and dislikes. How high can they fly? Bear Grylls, I believe, flew one over Mount Everest. They had to specially fix him with a spacesuit and to keep him from freezing, and they did something to the paramotor so that it would burn on thin air and oxygen. I'm not sure exactly what they did, but he did fly over Mount Everest. So that's how high they can fly. You asked, how fast do they go? How fast a paraglider goes? Well, that's kind of a relative question that, let's say in no wind, in zero wind, how fast do they go? The average is between 25 and 35 miles an hour. There are exceptions where you can go faster. There are exceptions where you can go slower. If you're a heavy guy and you want to fly a bit faster, you can put a smaller wing on, which will require you to have a stronger motor, but then you can fly a lot faster because you're weighted down on the wing. The bigger the wing, the lighter the load, the slower you go. And so this is determined by the size of your wing and your power plant and your body weight. It's also determined by your altitude. If you're taking off from a higher altitude, the air is thinner, so you move a little bit faster, and with the same amount of weight, you'll find that you're going through thin air a lot faster. So, but the answer to that is about between 25 and 35 miles an hour. Carl, thank you for writing this in. I hope this answers some of your questions, and some of you other folks have been wondering about these same questions. There's a couple of miles away. Next one comes in from Dave Goodman. Dave Goodman says, how long can I fly on a tank of gas? He says, how long can I fly on a tank of gas? That's a great question. There's a lot of different brands on the market. The only difference is they get about half the fuel efficiency that we get with our Fresh Breeze unit. And the reason for that is because they all use a diaphragm carburetor, very small motors, very small CCs sometimes, so they're over revving, they're running at a lot of higher RPM. We have a little bit stronger motors, a little bit bigger motors, and we don't have to work them as hard. Plus, we have a totally different type of carburation. A diaphragm carburetor eats twice the fuel that a float bowl carburetor has. This is a float bowl carburetor, like on a mini bike or a motorcycle, extremely dependable, extremely efficient, and we get, with a 2.5 gallon gas tank, we get a full 3 hours of flying. The other ones on the market, all of them, every one of them, gets about an hour and a half, if they're lucky. Unless they've got a really light pilot, he can sometimes squeeze a little more out, but they get about half the fuel efficiency of a German-engineered fresh breeze. Any one of our units has amazing fuel efficiency. So, again, 2 to 3 hours, or 3 hours out of 2.5 gallons of gas. You can do pump gas or you can do avgas. There is no special needed, because that was the next question from another writer. Do I need to run avgas or can I run gasoline in it? You can run either one. If you're going to run gasoline in it, you want to avoid places that maybe have ethanol in it. I personally, the ethanol hasn't affected mine. What I do is, instead of mixing it 50 to 1, I mix it to 41, so it's a little richer, but I get no bad side effects, and I run pump gas in mine all the time, especially when I'm traveling. I don't have access sometimes to avgas. So, on a 2.5 gallon tank, 3 hours of flying. That's with our brand only. Now, we do have an enlarged tank, too. If you require more, we have an enlarged gas tank, which gets almost 5 hours on the tank of gas. So, again, to get that, they require something that's just enormous and be too heavy to carry on your back because of the amount of weight. Okay, next question comes in from Lou Richards. Lou Richards says, "Hello, I was a pilot for almost all of my life, but the expense has just been overwhelming. I like that you can travel with this. Question, how long does the motor last before I have to rebuild it?" Lou Richards. Lou, thanks so much for writing in. That's a great question. One thing that you'll notice about a Fresh Breeze is the internal workings of the motor. If you've taken any time on my scam videos to realize the difference in the equipment, if you haven't, you definitely need to click on my website on flightjunkies.com. There's a section that says Scam Warnings. Click on the one that says Powered Paragliding Scam Warnings Equipment, and it's going to go through every point of this unit and explain to you the difference. And it's also going to talk about the internal workings of our motor. Fresh Breeze does something totally different that no other brand worldwide does. They put better bearings on the crankshaft. When all of the other ones on the market are using ball bearings on the crankshaft for the motor, Fresh Breeze is using high-performance, German-engineered roller bearings. They last way longer, so you're not going to be rebuilding your motor every year, year and a half of decent flying. You're going to go years before you ever need to do that. And with our cylinder, we also have Nicosil-coated cylinders, which the other ones have a stock cylinder. And so there's much more friction, much more heat, and you're wearing it out much faster. Anytime you have excess heat and over revving and over vibration, and you're running at higher RPMs, which is what a lot of the small little 80 cc's and 120 cc motors tend to do, you're overworking that motor so much. And heat is always a bad thing for a motor. So our engine's very long. I've got guys that fly with me every weekend. They haven't touched their motor other than putting spark plug and belt on it, which is your regular maintenance. And they've been flying for years and years with me. They've never rebuilt their motor. When you do need to rebuild a Fresh Breeze, you do not need to bore them out or do anything to the cylinder like you do with the other ones, or even buy a new cylinder. Because we have a Nicosil-coated cylinder, you simply put new rings on and throw some new bearings on. And again, ours is going to last way longer because we have an engine that's running much cooler. It's running different cylinders. It's got better bearings on the crankshaft. We also have enlarged cylinder heads to dissipate the heat off the motor, which the other ones do not. And we invert our motor upside down. And the other thing is, because we have more power and we're not putting people in these little tiny motors, we tend to have an engine that's not being overworked to get the horsepower and the thrust that you need. Because you can literally take a small little 80 cc motor like on a mini plane or some of the other brands out there, and you can get a 200-pound guy off the ground. But you're going to be doing it at an expense of wearing out those bearings much faster, creating tons more heat. The RPMs of the motor are way up over 9,000 RPM. Whereas this, when you're in level flight, you're going to be a little bit above idle. Your motor's going to be cool. It's going to be quiet. People aren't going to be complaining about the noise. You're not going to have to wear earplugs while you're up there, and you do with other brands. But best of all, your motor's not going to need a rebuild for a long, long time. It's hard to say a specific hour rate, but it's going to be a long time before you'll have to do that. I hope that answers your question, Lou. Next thing you said, Dr. James Finn. James Finn writes in and says, "What's the catch on your free training?" All right, Jim, we get this one all the time. And let me tell you a little about how our free training works. And for those of you who are skeptical, there is absolutely no catch to that. I got into the sport years ago, and I saw people, since there was no regulation on getting training, I saw people damaging their equipment. I saw people hurting themselves. I saw a few people even die. And at that point, I got into powered paragliding almost 20 years ago. And at that point, I said enough is enough. I will train anybody, anywhere, anytime, free of charge, regardless of a purchase from me. That's the truth. And for 14 years, I trained free of charge. I spent countless hours out in the field, away from home, in all 50 states, traveling, away from my family, away from my business, away from my home, to meet a guy, to train him, to spend 4 or 5 days out in the field with him from sunup to sundown, putting him in simulators, going through ground school, teaching him how to use the kite. And when it was all over, I made a pretty good friend. And I got to help a lot of people, and I kept a lot of people alive that would have otherwise gotten hurt or even killed. If you saw some of the things that I saw and some of the equipment they bought used, they did not even know how bad the equipment was or what they bought or how the size is so important to getting into the right equipment. And they really seriously could have got hurt. And I came on and I said to the general public online, I said, I will train anywhere, anytime. Now you cannot believe the grief that I've had to deal with from the USPPA and different organizations and different dealers out there who didn't like the fact that I was going to keep these people safe. To this day, almost forgot your name, Dr. James Finn. Dr. Finn, I have had so much flack from other dealers and these organizations out there because I've warned people about this stuff. I've warned them about the equipment, and they don't like that I train for free, but I don't care. I don't think there should be a price tag on safety. And we have always, since I started Flight Junkies, we have always trained free of charge and in all 50 states. So nobody has any excuse why they should wreck their machine, get hurt or killed, because I was willing to train anybody, and I still am. I still offer free training. I do train free of charge now. In the last 3 years, I am so busy. I've constantly got students in. I'm so busy. I'm only able to train people who have purchased from me. I do not charge additional for the training. If somebody needs training and they come in from somewhere else, I do charge about half of what other instructors are charging. I've been the top instructor in the United States now for over a decade and a half. I'm coming up on almost 800 students, and I've trained more students nationwide than any single instructor anywhere. And so I'm willing to train people for free. Unfortunately, it's just people that end up purchasing equipment from us. Now, let me explain the way free training works. Is you buy the equipment, and I don't jack up the cost of the equipment to cover the training. And you can either come to one of my locations, which is in Florida. I have a home in Florida. I have a home in Ohio. You can guess which time of the year I'm down in Florida. So I train year-round, 7 days a week. I'm not a part-time novice. I have a history of aviation. I was a stunt pilot before this. I flew all sorts of different types of aircraft and fixed-wing aircraft and ultralight aircraft. And I was also a skydiver for 20 years. I've now logged over 21,000 hours of flying powered paragliders. So I do screw up a lot of stuff in life, but flying's not one of them. I've actually done pretty well at it, and I'm sure that I can get you in the air safely. This doesn't make a lot of people happy. Most instructors charge about $2,000 to $3,000 for training after you purchase their equipment. And again, we don't jack up the cost of the equipment to cover the training. It truly is free. Our equipment is at the lowest price. I generally give free shipping, so you have no sales tax, no shipping charges, and unlimited free training. I say unlimited because you can train as often as you want. You can come in every year for a brush-up course. You not only get your initial class to get you flying, and that can take as long as you want. I don't put a day limit on it because people progress at a different rate. I have some older people that take a little longer. I have some kids in their teens that pick it up in a day, and over the course of a few days, we're able to make 30, 40 flights, and they're doing fantastic. But people progress at a different rate, so I don't put a limit on the training. It's not only to get you flying initially, but as your skill level progresses, you're going to want to learn other things like beginner aerobatics, advanced aerobatics. I teach full courses. Beginner aerobatics, advanced aerobatics. Maybe you started out on foot launch, but you want to go with a trike. I train that. I train on trike. Maybe you're getting to the level where you maybe want to take your wife, your kids, or friends up. I can teach you how to do tandem. Our tandem course, free. It's not just your initial, it's all of the courses, and it's free. If you purchase that unit from us, it is your ticket to unlimited free training. If you need training in any state, there is no catch. Whether you come to me or whether I come to you, training is completely free of charge. If you want me to come to you, I will need you to take care of two things. Get me a cheapy airline ticket to get there, because I personally come out and train you. I don't send you to a knockoff instructor who has no experience, who claims to be a certified instructor, which no experience is needed for that. I come out and personally train you. I don't send you anywhere else. I only trust my training. And I require, so a cheapy airline ticket, and I require a dirty old couch to sleep on, or if you want to throw me into a dumpy motel, I don't care. I've slept in trailers, I've slept in tents. I've trained people in some of the most bizarre places, but I like to personally come out. I like to meet each person that I'm training, see the environment they're training in, and help them personally. And I can spot things in a student that a novice instructor cannot spot. So unfortunately, I have to take the time to get you the right kind of training so I can be sure that you're flying safely. And again, there's no limit. You can come back as many times as you want, and training is not just for you. I have trained entire families. Do they have to pay if you bought equipment? No. Your wife can fly. Your son can fly. I've trained entire families to fly. If you bought equipment from us, your entire family can take unlimited free training. Excuse me. Your entire family can take unlimited free training. So the training is free, it's unlimited, and it's for as many people as you want me to train on your unit. You must be present with them. If they take their training, you can't just give your unit to somebody else and let them come to me. But I have a record of all the units sold. So I hope that answers your question. It's not a scam. It is the most hated thing by other dealers. They do not want you to know about the free training. And Dr. Finn, I have been excluded. I have been kicked out. I have been uninvited to fly-ins and events where people are setting up their booths, other brands are setting up their booths to sell their product, and I have been excluded and asked not to come there because my booth has free training banners on it, and they know that that you can't compete with that. I didn't do it to piss people off. I did it to keep people safe. And I'm one guy. I can only train so many people. And rather than hate me for this, over the past 20 years that I've been flying, they ought to be thanking me for keeping the sport safe. Because if you get enough deaths, then you start getting regulated. And I've done this for people. And I've done this out of the goodness of my heart. And there's no greater value that I have on anything other than my time. I can't rebuy time at the end of my life. So I've spent countless days out in the field training for free of charge. You said, what is the catch? Your safety. That's the catch. And I'm going to make sure you're safe. And I'm going to make sure that when you walk away from Flight Junkies, you not only walked away with good equipment, you walked away with safe equipment, and you made a friend in the likewise. We get very close to our customers, and we have sort of a family-style atmosphere. In fact, many times people just stay right at our house, and you can talk to some of our students, and we have plenty of references. We let them just stay at our house. We're not going to make you stay in a motel or do any of that. Okay, I hope that answers your question. Next writer writes in and says, hello, my name is Captain Frank York. I am a flight instructor in the United States Air Force. I have found your Flight Junkies website to be the most informative I've ever seen. I was very close to purchasing another unit from another dealer in Utah. Thank God I saw your site. I especially love your scam warning videos. Thank you, man. You saved me a boatload of money. In the end, the guy that I was going to go with was going to charge me $14,750. This package price included his so-called super training. So many people steered me away from him, and many said, call Captain Kurt Pfister. Your prices are nearly almost $6,000 less, and you get unlimited free training. How is this possible? Well, we explained this to him already, Mr. York, and it says the scam warning video equipment is what convinced me. I had no idea that these things were that different. Really, it made clear, really made it clear where the quality is. Bet that pisses off a lot of people. You have no idea, my friend. Wow, is there any other good literature to read to familiarize me on paramotoring? I would like to order one at the end of this month. Glad I found you, Captain Frank York. Mr. York, thank you so much, Captain. I appreciate that, and I appreciate your service to our country as we do all our veterans. I've even trained some handicapped veterans that were wounded, and one was even paraplegic, and I was able to get him flying with our trike. He had no use of his legs, and our trike seems to be about the best unit out there for doing that because it self-steers and corrects. So that wasn't too long ago. Really made it clear. What'd you say? I bet that pisses off a lot of people. Yeah, we've stated in other videos that they really don't like us around and they don't want you to know about free training. And yes, through other brands you will oftentimes pay a lot more, and what they'll do is nickel dime you and play upgrade games. We don't do that either. When I give you a price, it's going to be for equipment that you're not only going to fly now, but you're never going to need to upgrade to get something else. If you want to add wheels to it, if you started off foot launch, you want to add wheels, I've already put you into a unit more powerful than you need, but not to the point of it being dangerous, so that you'll never need to upgrade. I don't put anybody into a beginner wing. I put you into the safest wing I think possible. There's a lot of great wings out there, and there's other ones that I could sell, but for the value, the safety, the durability, and the strength of this wing, I've been flying it. It's in all my videos, and it's a wing that I love, and I'm very experienced in flying these, as well as I don't like to be bored when I fly. And it'll do everything you want. Best of all, it's going to bring you home safe. It's going to give you soft landings, quick takeoffs, and it'll do every kind of maneuver you want to do without sacrificing safety. So yes, your prices are nearly $6,000. Yes, I am aware of that. And that does not make a lot of people real happy, and especially when we offer free training and in all 50 states. Some of these guys that call me are right down the street from another dealer, but they ended up seeing the difference in the equipment, learning about the training, and there's really nowhere else to go. If you want quality, Fresh Breeze is the way to get it. What is the difference in Fresh Breeze and other brands on the market? Bob, I'm going to answer this question by simply saying go to my website and click on Scam Warnings and play Powered Paragliding Scam Warnings Equipment. And I'm going to go through everything about these motors. And you are going to learn so much that when you come into the sport, it is absolutely going to amaze you. I was completely ripped off when I got into sport. In fact, for the first few years of Flight Junkies, when I started it, I didn't even sell anybody's product. It was just a website to warn people about the flat-out bullshit that was out there, some of the shady dealers, and to steer you away from them. And nothing has changed in the sport. They've got amazing websites with experienced pilots flying and doing aerobatics and some great footage and some great photography, selling their garbage equipment, and you don't know what you're looking at, nor do you know what to ask for when you come into this sport. If you're just a little bit mechanical, just slightly mechanical, if you've ever worked on your car, if you've ever had a mini bike when you were a kid, you know a little bit about motors, it's going to make total sense when you watch my Powered Paragliding Scam Warning video, and it'll tell you piece for piece everything that the German-made Fresh Breeze unit has that no other unit in the world has. All of the other ones do all the same thing. You're going to know the difference the minute you get done. And when you watch this video, kick the dogs out of the room, get the wife out of the room, make sure the kids aren't yelling. Stop the distractions and listen to every word that I tell you in this, because it's going to save you a boatload of money and a ton of hassle and a ton of frustration. And I wasn't that lucky. There was nothing like my website out there when I came out. And for the first 3 years of Flight Junkies, it was just a website to warn you about the garbage and equipment. When I discovered Fresh Breeze, I now had a place to send people. And since then, I've been sending people to Fresh Breeze for over a decade and a half now, because I have found nothing. I have found nothing that even comes close to the quality. And I'll tell you this, Bob, if I do find something of better quality, or something comes out that's better quality than Fresh Breeze, I have no loyalty to Fresh Breeze. I want to sell the best because I don't want to deal with headaches. I'm a retired entrepreneur. I retired years ago, and I don't want to have to deal with the headaches of people calling and saying, hey, you told me this was a great unit. I'm having this problem. I'm having that problem. You know what I want to hear? I want to hear, hey, man, I was flying tonight. I had a great time. Dude, it was awesome. Thanks for steering me away from this crap that was out there. And I get these calls all the time. And they say, man, thank God I ran across you. You steered me away. I see all the things you're warning about. I fly with these other guys that bought the other equipment, and I see all of the things you're telling us. And so I do appreciate that. And again, that makes me a very hated man amongst other dealers. I literally got kicked out of a thing in Beach Blast by a guy named Captain, calls himself Captain John Black. And he kicked me out of his flying because I handed out 2 free training certificates at a raffle that I had at my booth. And he was charging $2,500 for training, and he took this as a slap in the face. Well, I was just creating some giveaways, and people there who already had equipment, some of them had equipment, some of them were thinking about getting it. The certificates were for anybody that used them. They could have taken those tickets and sold them online to somebody that maybe needed training, and maybe even got them, even the raffle was free. Either way, I've got kicked out of some of these events, and they don't like me around. And the USPPA doesn't like me around either. But that's okay. My students love me, and I appreciate them, and we've grown to be quite a big family. I have students in every state of the United States. I've been to every part of the United States numerous times, and no matter where you go, you've got a family member that's been trained by me and from Flight Junkies, and we'll be glad to hook you up with them and tell you where they're at and let you hear about their experience, and also, you know, make new friends in the sport. So, Bob, thank you for taking the time. We'll get on to the next question here. It says, I see you trained the oldest PPG pilot, the 87-year-old guy from Washington. My question is, do older people have to go with wheels, or do some older people foot launch? Can you explain some of the differences? Danny Burton. Danny, thanks for taking the time to write in. I did. I trained an 87-year-old guy out there, and it was just absolutely amazing. He was a pilot before in a younger day, and here he is coming up on 90 years old, and he has missed the sky ever since. They took his license away because of some medical issues with his heart, and when he just stumbled across powered paragliding, it was absolutely phenomenal for him. He could not wait to get one. He looked at my website for his year, and his beautiful 94-year-old wife, he's 87, called me on the phone, sealed the deal. They sent me a check out. I put him into the biggest motor we have, but I put it on wheels because he wanted power, but he's 87 years old, and it would have been hard for him to run with the motor on his back. But with the FlyPod, he was able to sit in that and take off with it, and he did fantastic. And when he came down after his first flight, his eyes were watering. It was an absolutely amazing moment. And we were both bawling our eyes out, and he said, I'm back. He held his fist up in the air, and he said, I'm back. And you could see the kid in his eye again. It was unbelievably rewarding for me to have the privilege of training this man. He was like my hero. Most people are in nursing homes or dead by 87. This guy's just starting his powered paragliding career. So Terry Phelps, Washington, we salute you, brother. You're my hero anyways, and I appreciate your service in the military and all you did in life, and appreciate the privilege of being able to train you. Can I explain the difference of the trike? The difference in the trike versus foot launch is you don't have to be an old guy to do the trike. The trike is a lot of fun. I've got a lot of people that just don't feel like putting the weight of the motor on their back. They're not that heavy. In fact, our power to weight ratio is incredible. Our lightest unit is about 43 pounds. Our monster's our bigger one, and that's almost double that, but it's about 70-some pounds. But the motor's only on your back for a couple minutes. So if you're in relatively good shape, I'm 50 years old. I think my oldest student foot launching is about 72, 73, and he does just fine. It's only on your back for a few moments. The weight is very well distributed. And when you throttle up, it kind of does the pushing for you. So you really only have to keep up with it. It's not that it's so much heavy, it's just that it's a weight and balance. So it's learning balance with this. And of course, that's what we teach you in our training. It is a lot easier to fly with wheels, because we don't have to spend days going over how to learning to kite the wing and control it. And there's quite a learning curve with that, and learning balance while you're foot launching. Foot launching has some advantages because you can take off of sometimes places that are a little bit more easy to fly out of. But for the most part, anywhere you can foot launch out of, almost you can always trike launch out of. And with our fly pod, which is very portable, you don't need any trailer, it folds down and will fit in the trunk of your car. Get on my website, check out some of the pictures of that. The trike is a lot of fun. It does all the work for you. The nice thing about the trike is you can share it with somebody who might not be the same weight as you. My girl's 120 pounds and I'm 205. And so she can't even put the motor on her back, much less run with it. But she can fly it. When we put it on the trike, she can sit down in the seat, put the seat belt on, put her feet up on the steering, and away she goes. So it's nice because a unit that she normally wouldn't be able to fly because of her body weight, that even if she could get off the ground, it would be very dangerous for her to fly. It's very important to be into the right size wing and the right size motor for your body weight, for your altitude, and where you're launching from. And so that's my job, to make sure that you're in the safe equipment. But as far as fun, either one is fun. The trike is a little easier to launch, and so some people go with that. If you've had any kind of knee injuries or back injuries, maybe you don't even want to go with the foot launching. But I do have a lot of people that have had knee injuries and back injuries, and they're still foot launching. So that's a hard question to answer. It's just something you'd have to weigh out, and you can tell me some of the pros and cons, or call in. Again, I'm happy to answer your calls. I prefer a telephone call more than an email, because I can answer in detail and we can go back and forth a lot easier. So I hope that answers a little bit of your question. Let's see, what next one. Love your website. I can tell you're a no bullshit kind of guy. Thank you, man. I noticed you only sell one brand, the German Fresh Breeze. Why? Well, first of all, I started to say in some of the other part of the video, I don't want to deal with the headaches of dissatisfied customers. In all the companies that I've owned in the past, again, I'm a retired entrepreneur, and some of the businesses that I've owned, whether it was a product that I sold or whether it was a service that I sold, I want the best. I want the best for my customer. And that's why God has blessed my businesses, and I was able to actually quit working at a very early age. And I appreciate that, and I feel very blessed of God to have the free time to do what I love. When I started Fresh Breeze, it wasn't a money issue for me to start this business. In fact, like I said before, I've started this business. I've had, for the first few years, it was a website just warning people about the nonsense that was out there. And quite honestly, I just enjoy training. I enjoy making new friends and keep people safe. If I can help out in any way, I did. And for years, I trained free of charge, even if nobody purchased from us. So, and nobody's going to do that. I'm sorry. And again, they do get very angry at that. But the German Fresh Breeze, like I said, is so different from other brands out there that when you go on my scam warnings equipment video, you're going to learn all the difference. You're going to understand why these things are just almost maintenance free, and why they're so quiet, why the company's been out there for over 2 decades. That's why they last. They're the oldest company out there. If anybody ever tries to tell you they're the oldest company or they're quietest, they're not. There's nothing like a Fresh Breeze. They're absolutely bullshit. You're right about one thing. I am a no bullshit kind of guy. And I believe in steering people away from the nonsense and the scammers out there. And I don't really care whether they dislike me or not. You better fly straight and sell a decent product, or you're going to go right down the toilet like all the other brands that have gone out. People want quality. And when you're selling a lousy product and you're ripping people off, word gets out. And if I can be any part of word getting out, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to warn the people. So fly straight, my friends. Okay, hope that answers your question there. The next question is, how big of an area do I need to launch? That's kind of a vague question, Mike. That's Mike from Arkansas. Mike says, how big of an area do I need? You're off the ground in a relatively small space, but you do need climb-out room, so no obstruction of wires and tall trees. But once your skill level starts growing and producing some experience, you can take off from very, very small places. And depending on how much wind there is and your body weight and the altitude, all this is affected and the power plant that you have. I like putting people in a little bit more power than they need. Who in the heck wants an underpowered car, motorcycle, jet ski? Man, I want to be in something, got some cojones to it, but I want to be in something that's safe and the right size. And I try to put guys into not only what they could fly, but one up in power, so that they don't spend their time running across the ground and needing bigger areas. They're able, when their skill level increases, they're able to get out of smaller, tighter fields. And sometimes if you watch some of my videos, with just a 6 or a 7 mile an hour breeze, you can literally pull that wing up, turn around, and watch. Like my one video that I'm thinking of on my website called Time to Fly. When I turn around on that motor with the wing above my head, you'll literally watch me take about 4 or 5 walking steps and then watch that climb rate. And watch the climb rate with the trike. You can watch all sorts of stuff from watching the videos on my website to answer that question. So how big of an area? If I were to start off as a new student, I want something about the size of a big soccer field, or maybe even a small football field with very little obstructions around it. So you've got room to turn around inside, and you got place to land, and you got a nice big target to hit when you do come back for a landing. So I hope that answers your question. Thanks so much, Mike. How heavy is this on my back? Andy, our power to weight ratio is very good. Our smallest unit is 43 pounds, but I've only put a handful of people into that. They were around 110 pounds. I like to put guys, again, into a little bit bigger units and bigger motors. Because the motor's really only on your back for about 4 minutes. Your wing is already set up on the field. You put the motor on your back and you stand up. You walk over to the wing, pull the wing up, throttle up, and go. So it's really not on your back that long. Our average size motor is around 57 pounds, 58 pounds dry weight, and then with fuel a little bit more. So it's very well distributed on your back. It's not heavy at all. Again, I got 70-year-old guys, 72, 73-year-old guys foot launching. So if they can handle it, I would rather have you into a bigger motor and deal with a little bit extra weight. First of all, because it'll keep you in shape, and I think we all kind of need that a little bit, but I don't. But yeah. But anyways, we all need that a little bit. But the best thing is when you get in the air, you're not going to be over revving a motor that's a little tiny motor. When they have real super lightweight motors, it's always a little tiny 80 cc or a 100 cc. And although these are light, they're kind of wearing the motor out quicker because again they don't have the features that a Fresh Breeze has, and it's a little bit lighter, but you're going to be at an expense of over-revving it to get the power you need. Rather put you into something bigger. So it's about 58 pounds on your back, right around there, give or take a few. Okay, Mr. Pfister, I live close to other houses, and the quietness is very important to me. Everyone tells me Fresh Breeze is the quietest one out there. That's true. They absolutely are. There's nothing like them. In fact, when I saw Fresh Breeze for the first time in person, that's what made me buy it. That's what attracted me down to look closer at it, and how I came to buy it. It says, everyone tells me Fresh Breeze is the quietest one out there. Why? And how loud are these? Great website, very well written. Looking forward to meeting you. Thank you so much. It doesn't have a name on that one. Mr. Fisher, I live close to the other houses. Quietness is very important. Yes, having a quiet unit really can get you kicked out of a lot of great places to fly. Because if it's in a field right next to some houses, some of these other units on the market are so loud. Honestly, it sounds like a B-52 going off. And with a Fresh Breeze, they're extremely quiet. They have intake silencers. They have exhaust silencers, tuned exhaust, heavier pitch props with rounded edges, which is where a lot of your noise comes from. So you're not overworking the motor and over-revving it like the smaller motors. If you have a more powerful motor and more horsepower, we're able to have a heavier pitch on the prop, and our props at Fresh Breeze are all rounded. No wooden props here. Wooden props are louder. Our intake silencer muffles all the noise going in here. There's foam inside this tube. We also have another type of intake silencer. And then we have this huge muffler on it. When you're in level flight with a Fresh Breeze, and especially the way I'm going to put you into more power than you need, you are going to be a little bit above idle. Just a little bit. Sometimes when I'm out flying, for example, I'm flying around near my home and I'll be flying near these open areas right next to my house, where my houses are, and people are outside, and they sometimes don't even know that I'm there until the shadow from my wing crosses their path, and they see the black spot, and they look up to see me there. It's not loud at all. In fact, it's probably quieter than the average lawnmower. So I don't have to wear earplugs with mine. In fact, Fresh Breeze is the only unit that I've ever had. And I had 9 different brands before I discovered Fresh Breeze. Every one of them I had to wear earplugs. It was the first thing I noticed about them is how quiet they are. I can literally open the cell phone and talk to my wife and hear her talking to me after I idle down at 2,000 feet. I can be flying around and I can hear my phone ring and I can literally answer it and talk to my wife. I have friends to do the same thing. I couldn't do that with any other brand out there. So I hope this helps you a lot. Thank you for taking the time to join us. Folks, there's going to be more of our videos coming up. We're going to have more questions and answers from the emails. And again, if you do subscribe to our YouTube videos, you automatically are entered into a drawing to win a Flight Junkie shirts or some of the other prizes. And again, this month we're giving away some Flight Junkie shirts. So if your name is chosen randomly, we're going to send you a shirt. Give us a call with any other questions. Thank you for taking the time to join me. Captain Kurt Pfister, Flight Junkies Powered Paragliding. Have a great day.